So let's talk about a VST plugin called Crescendo. Now, this isn't just another instrument with a bunch of presets and knobs somebody else designed for you. No, think of it more like a completely blank canvas, one that gives you all the tools and paints you need to build your own audio tools right from the ground up.
So what does programmable really mean here? Well, you know how most plugins are like a pre-built house that you just get to decorate? Crescendo is totally different. It hands you the architectural blueprints, the raw lumber, the nails, everything. You actually write the code that tells this VST, that's virtual studio technology, of course, exactly how it's going to generate, process, and react to sound. You are in complete control from the very first line of code. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to follow the journey a signal takes as it flows through a crescendo creation. We'll start with the big idea, then break down its core structure. We'll see how sound is actually born in what are called layers, how it all gets mixed together for that final polish, and finally, how you get to be the conductor of the whole performance using MIDI. Sound good? Let's dive in. Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the big picture again. The whole philosophy behind Crescendo is actually pretty simple. It gives you the absolute fundamental building blocks of sound, but you're the architect. You're the one who decides how they all get put together.
And what's really cool is just how flexible this thing is. You see, depending on which little program file or DLL file you load into your music software, Crescendo can act like three completely different tools. It can be a VST instrument that makes sound from MIDI, an audio effect that processes incoming sound, or even a MIDI effect that just messes with MIDI data. It's like one toolkit with three totally distinct personalities.
So, how is a crescendo patch actually organized? Well, anything you build is based on a really clear three-part structure. And trust me, understanding this is the absolute key to unlocking everything this thing can do. And this orchestra analogy, it's perfect. First up, you have the common section. Think of yourself as the conductor, setting the stage. This is where you lay down all the global rules, declare all the audio samples you're going to need, and design your custom knobs. Then you have the layer sections. Each layer is like an individual musician in your orchestra. It's a totally independent sound source that gets triggered by a MIDI note. This is where the magic happens, where you're either generating waveforms or playing back samples. And finally, all the sound from all those layers gets funneled into the post section. This is your final mixing desk. Now you're the mastering engineer, applying those global effects like reverb or compression to the whole shebang. Okay, let's get our hands dirty and dive into those layer sections. This is the real heart of sound generation, where we get to see how a sound is actually born from just a few lines of code.
So, inside any given layer, you've basically got two fundamental ways to create audio. You can either use a sound that already exists, or you can build one from scratch using pure math.
So you've got a choice to make. Do you want to be a sound librarian, using the sample instruction to load up existing recordings for, say, a super realistic piano or a drum kit? Or do you want to be a sound physicist, using the OSG function to generate pure waveforms from scratch, crafting classic synth sounds from the ground up? The cool part is, Crescendo lets you be both.
Now, that OSCG function is your classic synth toolkit, and let me tell you, it is powerful. You get your smooth sines, your buzzy sawtooths, the works. But the real magic, the secret weapon here, is the built-in unison detuning. This lets you stack multiple, slightly out-of-tune versions of a wave on top of each other to create those massive, thick supersaw sounds that define entire genres of music. And you can do it with just a single line of code. It is an absolutely huge sound right at your fingertips.
And when you're working with samples, you are definitely not limited. I mean, sure, it handles all the standards like WAV and AIF just fine, but the real killer feature is its ability to hook into FFmpeg. That's a super powerful open source media tool. If you have that installed on your computer, Crescendo can load pretty much any audio file you can throw at it. You can even pull the audio directly out of a video file. The creative potential here is just wild.
Okay, this is crucial. How do you build an instrument that plays different sounds depending on how hard you hit a key? The answer is a little instruction called sample off. So let's imagine you've loaded a soft piano sample into slot 200 and a loud one into 201. Your code can check the incoming note's velocity. If it's a soft key press, you tell sample off to be 0. If it's a hard press, you set sample off to 1. Then, when you tell your sound generator to play sample 200 plus the offset, boom, it automatically picks the right one. This simple little command is the magic behind creating truly expressive, dynamic instruments.
Okay, so all our layers are busy making their sounds. Let's move on to the post section and see what happens next. All those individual audio signals meet up here for their final processing before they leave the plugin.
The easiest way to think about the post section is like your master bus. Its job is to work on the total final audio signal. This is where you'd put a global reverb to give everything a sense of space, or maybe a compressor to kind of glue the whole sound together. But, and this is the crucial thing to remember, the post section is completely blind to individual notes. It only hears the final mix. It has no idea about note on or off messages, which means any effects that need to be triggered by a note have to live back in the layer sections.
So we've built the sound, we've mixed it, now let's talk about control. This is where Crescendo really shines, giving you this incredible fine-grained power to conduct the whole performance and manipulate MIDI data with surgical precision. Just look at this signal path. A note comes into the plugin, and before it even thinks about making a sound, it hits something called the MIDI post program. This is a powerful little block of code where you can completely rewrite that note on the fly. You can change its pitch, you can randomize its velocity, you can even delay its timing. Just imagine, you could create a humanizing effect where every note has a slightly different velocity, or a chord trigger where pressing one key generates an entire major chord. All of that happens right here in MIDI post, before the note ever gets to trigger a layer.
And the level of control just keeps going deeper and deeper. You can define your very own knobs that show up in your DAW. You can build in key switches, so, pressing C1 changes your violin sound from a smooth legato to a sharp staccato. You can literally code your own complex arpeggiators or full-on step sequencers. And it's not even limited to sound. You can customize the look of the user interface, its colors, its fonts. You can even just drag and drop Scala files to explore whole new worlds of microtonal music. It's incredible.
Oh, and a quick but really important note on performance. Crescendo is designed to be super efficient, but if you've got a modern computer, you can squeeze even more power out of it. It comes in a few different versions, as you can see here, and each one is fine-tuned for a specific type of computer processor. By just choosing the version that matches your hardware, you can get every last drop of performance for your most ambitious, complex creations.
So, after looking at all these pieces, what's the big idea? What's the main thing to take away from our dive into Crescendo?
This quote from the manual just says it all perfectly. Crescendo isn't about one single, complicated function. It's about building complexity from simple, independent, and really powerful parts. Each layer is its own little self-contained sound engine, and by stacking them, telling them to trigger with different rules, and blending them all together, that's how you can create these incredibly deep, intricate instruments that are 100% your own. Ultimately, Crescendo is less of a product and more of a question. It hands you this powerful language for sound and just asks, what do you want to create? A meticulously sampled acoustic guitar? A weird generative ambient machine that plays itself? A complex MIDI processor that nobody has ever even dreamed of before? The canvas is yours.